Have you ever watched your whole world burn down from the inside of a car parked across the street? The glow of your living room lamp, the one she picked out, illuminating the silhouette of another man's head where yours should be? That was my Tuesday. The night started with a text from my wife, Sarah. Need some space tonight, just to think. It ended with me watching her thinking with Mark, a partner from her law firm, in our home. Our bed. I sat there in the dark, the engine cold, just a ghost watching a life that was no longer mine. And in that silence, a single cold thought took root. They think they've won, but they haven't started to understand the game I'm about to make them play. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. It had started subtly, a month before that night, a slow drift. "I need to find myself, John," she'd said. Her voice distant even when she was sitting right next to me on our worn leather couch in our Chicago brownstone. The words felt rehearsed, pulled from a self-help book. She started working late. Her phone became an extension of her hand, always angled away from me. Dinners grew quiet, the space between us filled with unspoken things. I'd find receipts from places we never went, fancy cocktail bars on Rush Street, a hotel cafe in the Loop. When I'd ask, her answers were a masterclass in manipulation. It was a client meeting. You're being insecure. She'd twist my concern into a flaw, making me feel like the crazy one. I was just the loyal, trusting husband, too blind to see the rot setting in. The humiliation was a slow poison. One evening, we were at a charity gala at the Art Institute of Chicago. She was radiant, in a backless dress, and I felt a surge of pride. Then I saw him, Mark. He was smug, oozing the kind of confidence that comes from unearned success. He walked over, put a hand on the small of her back, and whispered something in her ear. She laughed, a genuine, throaty laugh I hadn't heard in months. He looked right at me, a flicker of a smirk on his face. In that moment, in a room full of 100 people, I had never felt more alone. They felt untouchable, wrapped in their own arrogant bubble, and I was just a piece of scenery in their sordid play. The breaking point came a week later. I came home early, hoping to surprise her, maybe cook that pasta dish she loved. I found the bedroom door slightly ajar. I heard her voice, but it was different, giddy, breathless. "I can't, Mark. He could be home any minute," she whispered, followed by a soft laugh. "Don't worry about him. He has no idea." The floorboards seemed to fall out from under me. I backed away, silent, my heart a cold, heavy stone in my chest. I spent that night in a cheap motel off the I-90, the sounds of traffic a miserable soundtrack to my life imploding. The grief was a physical thing, a wave that crushed me, leaving me hollowed out. But as the sun rose, something else rose with it, a cold, clear rage. The broken man was gone. A strategist was taking his place. My revenge began not with a bang, but with a click. The click of a keylogger installing on her laptop. The click of a private investigator's camera from a car parked down the street from the Langham Hotel. I gathered everything. Text messages so graphic they made my stomach turn. Emails detailing their plans for a future built on the ashes of my life. Photos of them kissing in a parking garage on Lower Wacker Drive. I learned that Mark was not just a partner. He was being vetted for a judicial appointment, a position that demanded unimpeachable moral character. And Sarah, my ambitious wife, was leveraging their affair to secure her own partnership at the firm. They weren't just cheating, they were climbing over my back to get what they wanted. The trap was set in 3 parts: social, professional, and legal. First, the social. Sarah's parents were hosting their 40th anniversary party. The entire family, all their friends, everyone who mattered in their carefully curated world would be there. It was the perfect stage. Second, the professional. I compiled a neat, anonymous package for the Judicial Review Board, complete with photos, hotel receipts, and Mark's own emails about his unhappy marriage and his plans to leave his wife for Sarah. I sent an identical package to the managing partners of their law firm. Third, the legal. I hired the most ruthless divorce attorney in Chicago. We filed, citing adultery, and attached a motion to subpoena Mark as a witness, ensuring his name would be dragged into the official record. The night of the anniversary party was cinematic. Sarah was glowing, holding my hand, playing the part of the devoted wife. Her father, a man I had respected, stood up to give a toast. To 40 years, he said, and to our children, Sarah and John, who show us what a strong marriage looks like. A bitter laugh almost escaped my lips. As he finished, I stood up. I have something to add, I said, my voice calm and steady. I walked over to the large screen they were using for a photo slideshow. I swapped the USB drive. Sarah has been on a journey of self-discovery, I announced to the silent room. And I think it's time we all see what she's found. The first image filled the screen, Sarah and Mark. Wrapped in each other's arms, on the balcony of the hotel room I was still paying for, a collective gasp filled the room. Image after image flashed the kisses, the secret meetings, the damning text messages. Sarah's face went from confusion to sheer, unadulterated horror. Her mother started to sob. Her father just stared, his face a mask of disbelief and shame. I didn't stay to watch the rest. I just turned, walked out the door, and didn't look back. The fallout was total. The judicial appointment vanished overnight. The law firm, facing a massive scandal, fired both Mark and Sarah, citing a morals clause in their contracts. Mark's wife left him, taking everything. Sarah was a social pariah, her family too ashamed to even speak to her. She was ruined, completely and utterly. She called me hundreds of times, leaving desperate, crying voicemails. I never answered. I let them all go to the digital void. I sold the brownstone and moved out of Chicago. Sometimes late at night, I sit in the quiet of my new, empty apartment and think about that night in the car. I won. I destroyed them. But the victory tastes like ash in my mouth. The silence in my life now is louder than her laughter ever was. The end.